Remember, a lot of these entities that we are going to be communicating with, the majority of the ones that we are going to be communicating with, these are higher density energies, which literally means on a vibrational level, they are vibrating at a rate that is way denser and way faster than what we can understand as human beings. So of course, the more we are shifting our life in a way where we are cleaning out our own system so that we can vibrate a little bit faster as humans, it is going to make it easier for us to establish that contact with other types of entities and with other types of spirits. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. What exactly is it that I'm going to be speaking about in our today's video? I'm going to be discussing what to expect and primarily how long it is going to take in order for you to establish successful communication with a spirit or with an entity. When you are getting into the occult field and you are new to some of these ritualistic practices like invocation, what are some general things that you can actually expect to be taking place, and how long does it actually take until you get successful communication where you have a relationship with the spirit and you are able to tell that it is directly communicating with you? This is all stuff that I have a lot of personal experience with, and I'm going to be breaking this down so that you as the listener can fully understand what to expect as you're getting into this practice, because this is very important to know about. All right? If this is something that intrigues you and you clearly want to know more about it, then you simply have one thing to do, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, let me first start with introducing myself just in case you don't know who I am. My name is JeremiahJSchwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. I'm studied when it comes to planetary energies in association with astrology. And I'm also studied when it comes to trauma and its relationship to the nervous system. So with that being said, let's get right into the topic today. So we are talking about how long does it take until you have successful communication with a spirit when you're going through all the different steps that are necessary to establish contact. What are some of the key principles that you really need to understand in order to have successful communication in the first place? All right, so the first thing that I have to jump out the gate with saying in regards to this subject is it is going to be different for every single person. All right, every single person is going to have a different experience with the time frame for when they establish successful communication with a spirit. There are factors that come into play that are going to matter when it comes to having the successful contact. One of the first factors that is the most important is how strong is your intention. Okay, and I'm even going to be breaking down something a little bit more advanced as well. There is an actual occult formula that makes it easier to transition the spirit or transition the soul within the body, which comes with transition of consciousness, which also helps to energetically connect with entities or other spirits that exist in the universe as a whole. There is an occult formula that we can implement to make sure that the contact that we are establishing with something else is going to happen much more profoundly. I will be sharing that occult formula. But the first thing that is truly the most important is your intent. What is your intention as you're getting into this practice? If your intention is generally geared around your own personal self-development and wanting to know more about who and what you truly are, and then how to step into your power and live your purpose, if you have a strong enough intention, that in itself is going to be an energetic connector to whatever spirit it is that you are eventually going to be invoking. The stronger of an intent that you have, the more of an established link you're going to be able to create with this specific entity or with this specific spirit. Now, what are some of the things that follows the intent? Well, when you have a serious intention and it's coming from that genuine space, that means you are willing to make changes in your life. You are literally willing to make physical changes so that you can have better success when it comes to practices like invocation. So this is where it's going to go into one of these occult formulas that literally plays a very significant role in how we can establish successful communication with a different spirit. And that occult formula is the implementation of death energy. So I speak about this a lot on my YouTube channel, and the reason why I speak about death energy is not because I'm someone that, always wants to die and, is worshiping death necessarily. Of course, I honor death, and I think death is important, just as important as life. But the reason why I speak a lot about death energy is because there is a very powerful formula, almost like a complex, scientific, beyond what we can understand with our logical minds, formula that takes place when we implement death. So when I say that, what I'm referring to is death of anything, really. Death of emotions, death of emotional attachments, death of ego attachments, death of belief systems, death of relationships in the sense of letting go of them and separating yourself. These are all different forms of death, literal physical death. People can physically pass away. I want you as a listener to really tune in and ask yourself, how many have you had the experience where someone passed away that was pretty close to you in your life, and ever since they passed away, your entire life started changing drastically? I want you to really try to self-reflect and notice if you are conscious of this, because that is how powerful death is. Whenever there is death energy, there is energy that is transitioning. There's like a flow or a current of energy that gets created that transitions from one plane to another plane, from one dimension to another dimension. I mean, if you think about the properties of actual death, it's literally, for example, when we look at the human body, when we pass away from these human bodies, it is our soul and our spirit that immediately starts the process of movement and starts the process of transition out of the physical plane. So when we implement death energy in any way, we are implementing this occult formula of energy that is moving, energy that is tending to change, going from one plane to another plane. So if we are occult scientists, what we can do is we can set intentions, and then we can consciously implement forms of death energy to establish moving from one dimension to another dimension, moving from the dimension where we don't have what we're looking for manifest yet, implementing the death energy, strengthening the intent, then manifesting it into a different dimension so that it can actually become a physical result, a tangible physical result. This is the power, once again, of death energy, and we can implement this as occult scientists. So with that being said, what is one of the biggest ways to implement this death energy to have successful communication with a spirit that will speed up the process so that you can have a better communication quicker rather than it taking forever? Dying to your old self. So taking a nice moment to do some deep self-reflection and look at your foundation. Look at the way that you're living. Look at the relationships that you have. Look at the environment that you're living in. Look at your belief system. Look at your emotional state. There are certain things, we could generally call them unhealthy coping mechanisms, that almost every single one of us has. This is like a part of what it means to be human. It's a part of the human experience. But as we grow and as we mature and as we become more sensitive to our body's sensations and emotions, we get to show ourselves more and more degrees of self-love, where we get to turn unhealthy coping mechanisms into healthy ones instead. And the more that we make these shifts, the more we are dying to the old ways of our being, which generally we're going to revolve around escaping what we are actually feeling in the present moment. Escaping repressed negative emotions that generally are going to root back in trauma. That's the main reason why we usually have unhealthy coping mechanisms. We're in escapism to these repressed emotions. But when we reverse the flow and we allow ourselves to start processing these repressed energies and we implement healthy coping mechanisms instead, that is a death process. That is death energy that is being manifest, so that you can create a whole new life for yourself completely. You don't even understand the ripple effect that this is going to have on your entire reality, like for the rest of your life and everyone around you. All right, so with that being said, dying to unhealthy relationships, dying to unhealthy belief systems, dying to substance abuse, certain patterns of addiction. This is death energy that is absolutely going to support your ability to have a quicker ability to connect with other types of spirits. Remember, a lot of these entities that we are going to be communicating with, the majority of the ones that we are going to be communicating with, these are higher density energies, which literally means on a vibrational level, they are vibrating at a rate that is way denser and way faster than what we can understand as human beings. So of course, the more we are shifting our life in a way where we are cleaning out our own system so that we can vibrate a little bit faster as humans, it is going to make it easier for us to establish that contact with other types of entities and with other types of spirits. Now, of course, the death energy aspect as well is huge. So giving you a little bit of a personal example of how this manifested in my life, for me, when I went right into invocation with the first entity that I ever consciously invoked, I remember it was a demonic king that went by the name of Balaam. And I was led to do this invocation with Balaam specifically. I had like an entire list of all the different, I think it was like all the different Ars Goetia. And I chose Balaam out of the entire list. I just felt drawn to it. I couldn't tell you exactly why. It was more of an intuitive choice. And I did my first invocation, but during my first invocation, I was sort of expecting there to be a complete manifestation of this entity Balaam. I was thinking that Balaam was directly going to show up in front of me, like completely in front of me. And I was getting ready to have like a human-to-human interaction with this entity. This was my first time ever doing anything practice-wise with the occult, so I didn't really know what to expect. And I went into it. I set up my space. I even lit incense. I had some candles going. I was sitting inside of a pentagram that, I bought a mat from Home Depot and I spray painted a pentagram on it and everything. And I went through all these steps and I did the invocation, and it wasn't as profound as I thought it would be, but it was much more profound in a subtle way than what I thought it would be. So I ended up doing the invocations. I was really nervous, and quite frankly, I was really afraid, but I went through with it, and I was just sitting there afterwards, pretty much sitting in observation and then sitting in silence. And I started noticing there was a little bit of a difference in my psyche. There was a voice, an inner dialogue that was communicating with me. And this, I only picked up on this after sitting for almost 30 minutes straight in silence, just kind of letting myself be in the energy of what it was that I invoked, which was Balaam. And I was just paying very close attention. And then I remember I had a list of questions that I had written out on a notebook because I thought I was going to be able to ask Balaam. And I went to state one of my questions. And as I stated the question, within my psyche, my inner dialogue, it answered the question for me. So my own subconscious mind answered the question that I had verbally expressed externally, and the voice that I heard it respond in sounded like my own voice. Now, the way that I interpreted this at the time was that Balaam was influencing me through my psyche, through the subconscious, to give me a response to the question that it was that I was asking. So I sat there and I started asking a couple more questions and more questions and more questions. And then once the session was over, it was over and I finished. That night, I ended up having a significant dream where I literally went, like, it was a very vivid dream that I will never forget. I was like inside of a house and it was empty and there was monsters, and I found one of the monsters and I screamed in its face like I was the ultimate monster. It was a very deep dream, and I'm sure it was directly connected. Not sure, I know it was directly connected to processing trauma, and in order to have better communication with this entity, because I was coming from a lot of religious backgrounds. But I had this significant dream, and it was so significant that I ended up waking up in the middle of the night. As I wake up, I look at the time, and it said 3 a.m. on the dot. And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, what are the odds of that? Because I know traditionally 3 a.m. is associated with the demonic realm. And that is exactly what I was doing an invocation of, was Balaam, who is a demon. And I just happened to wake up at that time. That was very significant for me. That was something I was not used to. I had not waken up in the middle of the night, and it had been a very long time since I've ever done that, especially at 3 on the dot. And I hadn't had that vivid of a dream in a very long time as well. So this was direct connection to what I was doing in regards to my invocation. Now, I stayed consistent with this practice. My intention was strong. So even though when I went into it the first time, I didn't get the manifestation that I was exactly looking for. I mean, remember, I thought Balaam was going to physically appear in front of me. I was still consistent with it. I still knew that what I was doing was working, and I knew that it was going to take some time for me to understand what this is all about, because I'm new to this. And I had the intention to go through the process, whether it was slow, fast, boring, exciting. I was willing to go through it because I intuitively knew there is power here that I want to learn about. There is knowledge here that I want to have. So I would show up every single day. At this time, I was going to personal training school. So I remember I would wake up an hour and a half earlier than when my school started. So typically I was waking up at 5 a.m. and at 5 a.m. I was doing my invocations with Balaam. And it was a similar process the whole way through. I would set up the ritual space, I would do the invocations, and then I would just sit there in observation, sit there in silence, just kind of being receptive to the energies that were around me, and also paying attention to what was going on within my psyche, paying attention to how my subconscious was communicating to me. And it eventually got to the point where I was in direct communication with my subconscious mind. So I would hear my subconscious mind say something, and I could respond back to it in my mind. And then it would respond back to me. And once again, the way that I was interpreting this is that this was Balaam. This was the energy that I was invoking, and whatever higher density energy this is, it was able to manifest itself through my subconscious to communicate to me in my conscious awareness. And that was how I was establishing a relationship. This went on for some time, and it got to the point where I was starting to manifest, using my imagination, certain changes and shifts to the way that I was communicating with Balaam. So originally the inner dialogue was coming through my voice, and then after having done the practice, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 times consistently, and actually I was doing it multiple times a day. I would do it before school and I would do it after school. It got to the point where the inner voice shifted and it was no longer my voice. It changed into a whole different tone and a whole different voice. And that was when I knew that I am in communication with this entity. This is not just me speaking to my own subconscious. This was me using my subconscious as a tool to be a mediator between me and this entity. And then once that relationship had been established enough, after I was doing the previous invocations, I was at a place where I was ready to move it to the next level. And that inner dialogue changed into a different voice. It became like a lower voice, much lower than my voice is. And then from there, then I started projecting a little bit of an image to this entity using my imagination. So once again, the way that I perceive that is that this energy, Balaam, was able to manifest and help me to tune into my own creativity, my own imagination, to project an actual image of what Balaam was wanting me to see this entity as. So I would see this energy of Balaam that was manifesting in front of me. And this was taking me some time to develop. It wasn't fully developed in regards to being able to project the image, because it took me some time to kind of like understand what was happening. It was like, for a little bit of time, it was like, is this me that's creating this image? Is this actually Balaam? And, within time, I started slowly but surely understanding what was happening. But that's what I was doing. So I want to say it probably took me around 10 days, 10 different invocations to establish some very profound communication, successful connection with this entity, this higher density demonic entity. And the reason why I was able to do this so quickly is because I had sacrificed everything from my old life. I had moved from Maryland. I had let go of all my friends, let go of my old behavior patterns, let go of significant amounts of substance abuse, and I had transitioned into a whole new state where I don't know anybody, where I'm now going to school and I'm paying a lot more attention to my health. So with all of that death energy and all of that change, it primed me to be prepared to have significant amounts of success, because my intention was really strong and there was all that death energy to have that success with communicating with the spirit. And then from there, things just progressed and progressed and progressed. Momentum built and built and built. So I went from working with Balaam, establishing that relationship, to where Balaam was saying, now I need to connect with Lucifer. So then I connected with Lucifer. That became my primary energy that I was working with, and still is one of the most primary energies that I work with in this today's time. And then while working with Lucifer, Lucifer was being basically a mentor for me, guiding me and training me and teaching me every single thing that I needed to know, leading me in the right direction, or leading me to other certain entities that were important for me to work with, and eventually leading me and preparing me to get into Qlippothic initiation. And then as I got into the Qlippoth, this was a whole new doorway that had opened up for me in regards to my occult self-development and personal self-development as a whole. There is no form of development, self-development, that is more powerful than Qlippothic initiation. But of course, with any of these things, they come with a price. It's not going to be power and knowledge is not handed to you just on a silver platter. It requires a lot of introspection and a lot of processing of repressed negative emotions. So not everyone's ready for that, but for people that are, it is a significant way to develop yourself, as if it's like a quantum leap. Okay? So for me, the communication was very quick. For other people, it can take way longer. Remember, it depends on who you are. It depends on how strong your intention is. It depends on how many unhealthy coping mechanisms you currently have in your life. You know, what is your living circumstances? All of these things really and truly do matter. Because in order to be able to even connect with these other energies, there has to be a degree. There has to be a degree of regulation and safety within your nervous system. So if you're living in your parents' house, or if you're living with a toxic partner and you don't feel safe subconsciously living there, you are going to have a very hard time communicating with these other energies, because subconsciously you're going to be busy thinking you're not safe. You're going to be busy walking on eggshells. Whereas if you're in your own environment and there is that safety and there's no one there that's going to bother you, now your nervous system is a lot more regulated and a lot more prepared to have this communication, because your subconscious will be open, it will be free, it will be a lot more receptive. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have success if you're in these toxic environments, or if you've got all these unhealthy coping mechanisms go on. You can still have success. There are many people that do, but it's going to be a lot harder to properly integrate what's actually happening. It's going to be harder to decipher the messages that you're receiving. And a lot of the times, especially when you're working with the demonic, it really puts heat. It will put you through the heat to cause you to make the changes and the shifts that need to happen. So if you're in these situations that you know are not good for you or not meant for your purpose, when you start working with these demonic energies, it is largely their role to show you the areas of your life where you are removing or taking away your own power. These demonic energies are all about you stepping into your individual and personal power. So what do you think that they're going to manifest in your life to change you, to shift you in a position where you can step into your power? How do they have to show you in the ways that they can that you may be in situations that are stripping you of your own power? This is where the uncomfortable process can come into play. Because not everyone wants to acknowledge, wow, I never knew that I was really doing this to myself. I never knew that this relationship was hurting me. I never knew that this environment or this job that I'm working was hurting me or taking away my potential. And they have to show you these things by going into deep negative emotions and trauma so that you can see why you're taking your power away, or why you're choosing to not step into your power. And when you follow that, though, you're now following a current of energy that is going to lead you to stepping into your power and your authenticity. And there is a lot of value that comes from that. There's huge amounts of value. But once again, you've got to have that intention. You have to be ready for this. You can't expect to just live the life that you think you want to live if that means you're giving yourself away, you're giving your potential away, and just think, oh, if I work with a bunch of demons, or if I work with these higher density energies, my life is just going to start changing drastically. It starts with you recognizing what you need to do, and you can use these energies as support to help you initiate those changes. So if you're in alignment with that, that's why it can be so valuable. If you're not in alignment with that, and if you're misunderstood about what's actually happening, this can be very damaging, because it can absolutely re-traumatize you to the point where you don't even know what you're doing anymore. It can create so much chaos in your life that your entire construct of what you thought you were and what you thought you were creating gets completely obliterated, leaving you in a position where you're basically cradled up in the corner, frozen out of trauma, right? And not making a move. And, people get to that point. I have seen people go down that path. But I have seen people, also experience that and then start to shift their perspective and work through it. And that's what's important. Okay, so this was the video. If this offered you value, hit the thumbs up button. Do not forget to hit the thumbs up button. Drop down in the comment section and let me know how this influenced you. Let me know what you got from this video. Let me know if you have any questions on anything that I just spoke about. If you have any other types of video recommendations that are similar to these types of subjects, I would love to hear your perspective as well. So feel free to drop down in that comment section and let me know. Now, once again, hit the notification bell. Make sure you're getting notified whenever I'm posting this content. You do not want to be missing out on this content. I am one of the only people on YouTube that is really breaking these deeper occult sciences down in a very, very practical way. So make sure you are taking advantage of all the value that I'm giving you within my YouTube channel. All right, hit the notification bell. I promise you, you will be thankful that you did. Now, also come down and subscribe to my channel. By subscribing to my YouTube channel, you are further linking into the content. There's a real energetic component that goes behind this that will further connect me and you together. You'll get more energy from me as I'm releasing the video, and I'll get energy from you as you're tuning into the video and observing. All right, tune into that. Now also, if you have any family or friends that are interested in this information that you feel like it would be valuable for, you have my permission to copy and paste the link and send it to them. Send it out. Okay, copy and paste it, send it out. Do them that favor, do yourself that favor, do me the favor. It's a trifecta of favors. Okay, check that out. Now, I'm gonna take your awareness to literally the most important link within the entire YouTube description itself. This is the first link, okay? First link below. This is the Patreon. Now on the Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content where none of it is on my public YouTube channel. So if you're studying for my public channel and you're getting value from what it is that I'm speaking about, you absolutely need to be over on the Patreon. Okay, most people that are taking my content seriously, not even most, all people that are taking my content seriously and are taking their studies seriously are joining over on my Patreon. At this point, there's over 460 members on the Patreon itself, which is growing day by day and is thriving. And there are videos that go very deep into occult knowledge, certain occult practices, education on trauma, education on how to regulate the nervous system and establish a healthy foundation in your life. You know, blog posts that covers the initiatory arts on what to expect as you're going through these different occult initiations connected to Kabbalah, how that whole system functions, you know, vampirism, what it means to be a real left-hand path magician, like advanced knowledge covering these subjects that are very taboo that most people know nothing about. All of this is on the Patreon, okay? Tier number 3 and tier number 4 of the Patreon is actually giving you access to the only ritual service that I perform for my entire collective that are taking advantage of this service. This is what's called the Universe B Vampire Service. This is a ritual that is an energetic transfer from me to the participant who is actively receiving it. Now, based on my personal life experience as well as past life experience, I have a lot of understanding when it comes to these occult initiatory energies. I've done this before. Okay, this isn't my first time doing these different types of initiations. What I can do is I can perform an advanced ritual to transfer my energy field to the active receiving participant to act as a support system, an energetic support system through their self-development with the left-hand path specifically. So this ritual service is not meant for everyone. It is meant for the person who is in resonance with the left-hand path specifically, the darker aspects of spiritual evolution. That's who it's meant for. Now, as I do this occult ritual to establish this energetic transfer, you can start seeing me show up in your dreams to help you navigate some of the deeper portions of your unconscious and subconscious mind, and I will start to prepare you for deeper occult initiations, which eventually leads to the Qlippoth when you're ready, once your foundation is established. That is one of the big proponents that's taking place with this ritual. Now, other aspects is I'm actually changing your energetic structure through the ritual itself by programming it into the energy field to start spinning counterclockwise. Now, this counterclockwise spin is in direct resonance with actual black holes that exist within the universe as a whole and absolutely within our local galaxy. These black holes have a vampiric magnetizing effect where they pull in energy. When you have this energetic shift taking place within your field, you have an ability to pull in energy from dark energy and chaos within your environment and then turn it into your own power and evolutionary potential. Primarily, you're going to be able to see this by being able to pull out other people's inauthenticity. You can suck away someone's ego that is built off of inauthenticity because it's a charged up identity that they've created. You can suck that in, turn it into your own potential and power, and then leave that person in a space where they now have to face their true self, and they now have to process repressed negative emotions because of it. So really, that is a win-win situation, and there is a lot of value that you can receive even on a karmic degree from being one of these people, because these types of people, this type of energetic expression has to exist. And there are very few people that have the capacity to actually display this in modern times, to actually embody this and integrate this in modern times. So that would be the Universe B aspect of this ritual. And then there's the Universe B component. After you are integrated as a Universe B vampire and you are getting your subconscious and higher self and energy field are now used to being able to pull in energy from dark energy and chaos, you get to a point where when you manifest things, it looks very different than the way the average person manifests things. You start to manifest through intentions alone. Setting the intention starts to align all the different circumstances and proper events to physically unfold that get you to whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. This is a form of energetic creating where you are not existing within the confines of this matrix system that we all live in like the average person is. That's literally what it means to be a Universe B entity. And that Universe B property comes from working with this black hole energy that exists in our universe. It collapses the energy field to enter into, basically, you could think of it like a different dimension where you can start manifesting very differently than literally how the average person does. And it's very powerful. And I'm a direct testament of how this stuff works. All right. It's not easy. It still requires the transformation process, but you can get there. And there's a lot of people that do get there. And when you have the right support and the right guidance, it sets you up for success. All right. So if any of this is interesting to you and you want to take advantage of it, absolutely look into it. Tier number 3 or 4 of the Patreon, first link below. And you're entering into an Atlantean crystal grid, which I've created. This is a real crystal matrix, an advanced one that has a torus field that is consistently pumping out energetic frequencies that I choose to play, that is consistently streamlining to the participants that are taking place within this monthly ritual. So if you want that support, that energetic support every single month that you are signed up for this ritual service, you are getting the ritual performed on you and you are remaining inside of this Atlantean crystal grid, which is supporting your authentic development with the left-hand path specifically. All right, I'm going to leave that there. First link below. Second link below is where you can book a one-on-one call with me, or you could book a mentorship with me. I am doing a whole handful of these mentorships right now. I actually don't really, to be quite honest, I don't have room for any more at this moment. But by the time this video releases, there may be some space. But this is literally the most powerful and intimate way to specifically work with me. We will work together. I will help you develop a healthy foundation within your life and within your body. I'm going to help you regulate your nervous system, understand certain things that you need to understand to start developing a healthy foundation We're going to start diving into your repressed negative emotions and processing some of your traumas. And once we get you established with that healthy foundation, then we can start transitioning into some of the occult initiatory practices. And as we get into these occult initiatory practices, that is where things can really go into another level. Okay, and then I can be a guide for you through that process because I've been through it myself and I've initiated and have seen a lot of other people go through that process. So if you're interested in that, second link below. And also, within the same second link below, you can book a tarot card reading if you are someone that is looking to understand your placement, not placement, but understand what Kabbalistic sphere or archetype that you are pulling on to get a better understanding of what's happening in your recent past, in your present moment, and as well as what's going to be taking place in your near future. Then you can book a reading with someone that I've personally educated and have trained, and her name is Alexia, and she is really, really, really good at doing these readings. It's like literally one of her gifts, and she is informed with the Kabbalistic tree and trained by myself. Okay, so if you are someone that is looking to book this reading to get more clarity on what's happening in your present moment and what to expect and what you've been going through, definitely consider booking your reading. That is all in that second link below. You'll see it down there. All right, now we're going to move into the third link below. Third link is where you can join a course that is called the Lucifers Foundation course. If you are trying to develop a healthy, strong relationship with Lucifer, this is exactly what you need to have. This course gives you access to 11 modules that you will have for the rest of your life that gives you everything you possibly need to know in order to develop this healthy relationship with Lucifer. Subconscious reprogramming, guided meditations, education on trauma and shadow work, where everything's leading to in the long run, how to create a commitment with Lucifer, setting up your ritual space, etc. Okay? A lot of people have purchased this course. A lot of people are continuing to purchase this course. I am telling you, it is very valuable. If you want to take advantage of it, it is the third link in the description. We'll leave it there. Fourth link in the description is where you can become a YouTube member. Now, as you're a YouTube member, you're clearly going to be entering into another layer of the YouTube community, which is always fun to have. I love having all of you, within the YouTube community and just being able to see like-minded faces or, similar faces showing up and, having a group of like-minded individuals. So that's a benefit. Now, you're also getting exclusive live stream chats, exclusive content, specifically music video breakdowns. This is all for the YouTube members. You're getting exclusive emojis and a whole host of different things. So if you want to join within the YouTube membership and join the community and also gain access to these other benefits, definitely look into it. That is the fourth link in that description. Now, in the fifth link in this description below, this is my book recommendations for you. If you're someone that's getting into the occult, or if you've been studying the occult and you are wanting to understand more about this whole initiatory system when it comes to Kabbalah, when it comes to the Sephiroth, the Qlippoth, the 22 tunnels of Set, the 22 major arcana, the 72 Ars Goetic demons, the 72 angels, if this is you, this is my absolute book recommendation for you. It is the fifth link below. It is going to give you everything you need to know in a digestible, easy to understand way, yet still pulling on the very advanced occult information, bringing it all into one place so that you have it all at your fingertips. You are gaining access immediately to 4 ebooks that are literally selling for $128, which is nothing. This could be sold for way more. So with that being said, if you purchase your book, your bundle, recommend it to a friend. Recommend it to someone else that you know would gain value from it. That is what I am asking you. Okay? There are a lot of people that have purchased this, like a lot. So if you're someone that also wants to look into this, I definitely encourage you to. All right, that's going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.